Hey guys, so today I'm doing a video that isn't very typical for my channel. My channel is mostly reviews and beauty themed videos, but today I kind of want to dive into adoption and foster care and talk about some of the what I would consider to be absurd questions and comments that we get about adopting, foster care, or our family and lifestyle in general, being foster parents and adoptive parents. So if you guys would like to hear some of the crazy things that people have said to us and how I usually respond to them, then just keep watching. Okay, so backstory. I was inspired to do this video when I had all three of my kids. For those of you who don't know, we've done one private adoption, which is an infant adoption, and that was my son Braden. We got him at 2 days old. He is African American. We got my 3-year-old son Gavin through the foster care system at 30 days old, right from the hospital. And we adopted my daughter Shayla, who is African American and now currently age 7, through the foster care system as well. And she joined our family officially last year. Can't believe it's only been a year. So that's the dynamic and that's the background information. So I had all three of my kids with me the other day, and we went into this bagel store to get a bagel sandwich. And I've been in there before with my youngest son, who is Caucasian, and I don't know if I've ever been in there with all three of my kids. I've either had 2 of them or 1 of them at a time, but this particular employee looks me straight in the face and says, "So you're babysitting today?" And I looked at him dumbfounded because I wasn't babysitting. I was there to get a bagel sandwich. And he looks at my kids, he looks at my 2 African American children and looks back at me and says, "So you're babysitting, right?" And I said no. And again, he looked at me with the most puzzled face. And I said, "They're adopted." And still, like, he couldn't quite grasp the concept that they were with me. So I realized that people mean nothing by their comments. They usually are just curious or don't know how to phrase things the correct way, which is why I usually take it as an opportunity to educate people. So that was the background of what inspired me to make this video. So the first thing that we get all the time is, are they your real kids? I know exactly what people are meaning to say with that question. They mean to say, are they your biological children? But they're saying, are they your real children? And I turn to them sometimes. Sometimes I answer with, do they look real to you? Or sometimes I will say, well, they're not imaginary, because taken literally, that's what it means. Are they your real kids? Yes, they are real. And yes, they really are mine. So then I usually educate them and I said, yes, they are my children in every way, shape, or form. They are adopted, but they are fully mine and they are part of the family. Usually people are like, oh, okay, that's amazing. Like, they don't mean anything by it. They just want to know if they are your children or if they're adopted, biological or adopted. So the terminology is usually, are they your biological children? Are they your foster children? Are they adopted? Those are usually the 3 routes to go with. The second one we get all the time is, so I guess you couldn't have kids. I am a huge advocate that adoption is not a backup option. It's not a plan B. It doesn't have to be a plan B. Ever since I was in high school, I knew that I wanted to grow my family through adoption. Did my husband and I plan to eventually try to have biological children? We did, but we started growing our family through adoption and foster care before we ever even tried to have biological children. Turns out we can't, but that's not why we were in this boat in the first place. We chose to adopt before anything happened or could have happened. So adoption was our first choice, and I get so upset when people assume that we only want our children because we couldn't have biological children. Definitely a big pet peeve for me concerning adoption and fertility. Adoption was not a plan B. I tell my son all of the time, you were our first choice. We wanted you above all else. God placed him with our family because he knew that was the child for us. He was not a mistake. He was not a backup plan. He was not a plan B. He was our first choice. So please don't assume that everyone that adopts does so because they cannot have biological children. It is not the case. Many people want to give children who need a home, and that was my heart's desire. And I feel like I'm going to get teary-eyed talking about this because I feel very strongly about this. My children are my children. They were not a mistake and they were not a backup plan. They were who I always wanted. Yes, I know that some people cannot physically have children. so they choose to adopt, and I think that's still amazing. They're still giving children a home that need a home. But please don't assume that that's the only time people will adopt, because it's not the case. Being foster parents, we get this question a lot also. People say, I don't know how you can love a child that isn't your own or that isn't your blood. And my response to that one is, if you're married, do you love your spouse? They are not your blood. They are not related to you at all. But that's someone that you love and would probably do anything for, so why should loving a child be any different? They don't have to be your blood. They don't have to be related to you to love someone. For those of you who don't have a spouse, do you have pets? Do you love your pet? Are you related? Are you even the same species? But you still love them. Why does blood have to be a deciding factor for who you can and cannot love? I've never understood that. When you adopt privately, it's because a parent has put their child up for adoption because they know they cannot care for them, or they know that they have struggles that are in the way of them caring for them. So we get the question a lot, particularly about our private adoption situation. People will say, so his real parents didn't want him? That is usually not the case at all. Usually they love their child so much that they want a better life for them than they can give them. And I'm not going to give the details of our son's situation out, but his bio mom did such a selfless thing by choosing adoption because she knew that she wanted more for him. She wanted a better life for him. And that is the most selfless thing a mother can do, if you ask me. To put her child's need above her own. I'm sure it broke his bio mom's heart to say goodbye to him. I'm sure she still thinks about him today and wonders how he's doing. I can't imagine, now that I am a parent, I cannot imagine doing that. So did his mom want him and love him? Absolutely. She loved him enough to do what was best for him. So when you ask, so their parents didn't want them or didn't love them, I know you're trying to find out why the child was put up for adoption in the first place, but usually the answer is they loved them more than you can possibly imagine. And that's why they made the decision to put the child up for adoption. Another question we get all the time, where are their real parents? You're looking at her. I am his real parent. What you mean is, where is their biological parent? And that is something for me to know and for my child to know when the time is right. It's not public knowledge. So that's not really a question that people need to be asking. You can ask if they have contact with their biological family. It's really not anybody's business where the child's bio parent is. Another good one, how much did they cost? You do not ask how much a child costs. The child is priceless. The process, if you truly want to know the ins and outs of adopting because you're considering it yourself, I will be more than happy to discuss the ins and outs with you. But if you're just someone that wants to know how much a child costs to get off the street, to adopt from an orphanage, to whatever, that's not really appropriate. So please don't ask people how much their child costs. You can say, like, what's the cost of a private adoption, and we will give you a ballpark figure of what we were told. We adopted 7 years ago. It's different now. So the only experience I know is my own. Another question I get a lot is, do they know they're adopted? Yes, they know they're adopted. From day one, we've told our children that they were adopted. We've told them their adoption stories. We've told our son his story about how he flew on an airplane when he was 10 or 11 days old. He loves hearing it. They know they didn't grow in mommy's belly, and they're totally fine with that. They know they don't look like me, but they know that mom loves them no matter what, because the mom is a person that shows up for you every day, the person that loves you unconditionally. It doesn't have to be the person that grew you in their belly. A mother is the person that's there for you. And whether that is a biological mother, a biological grandmother for you, foster parents for you, a friend, to me, that's what being a mother is. It isn't the person that grew you inside their belly. I'm using the term belly because that's what I use with my kids. So those are just some of the odd or unusual questions that we get being parents of multiracial children, being adoptive parents, being foster parents. The other one is that people say, I hear foster parents just do it for the money. If you knew how little we receive every day to care for the children compared to the cost of raising children, it would never be worth it for that reason alone. You have to want to give children a loving home. So just kind of wanted to share with you guys. So perhaps this video was educational for those of you that have friends in similar situations, so you can kind of know what to ask or how to phrase things in a way that would be better received by the person on the other end. So in general, it's bio family, adoptive family, foster family. Or you could say your first family and your forever family. I know a lot of people that use that terminology. So your first family is your bio family. Your forever family is the family that adopted you. Again, do not ever ask if they are your real children. Children and people are all real. What you want to know is, are they your adopted children? Are they your children? Or are they your biological children? So usually if someone approaches me with a sincere interest or a sincere curiosity and they just want to learn, I am more than happy to educate. I am not easily offended. So if you guys have questions about adoption, foster care, terminology, what to say, how to say it, what not to say, feel free to leave me a note down below or message me on Instagram. I never mind people asking me questions about adoption, foster care, raising children of a different race than mine. I have a lot to learn, I will say that. It's definitely a challenge doing hair and skincare for African American children. We have come a long way in the years that we've had them as part of our family. I've learned a lot. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos on how to do hair. Haven't quite mastered it completely, but I'm definitely making steps in the right direction. I always appreciate suggestions of products to use, hair care, skin care. So I'm not going to be offended if you guys make suggestions. I appreciate that. I hope you guys found this video informative. If you did enjoy this video, remember to give it a thumbs up, share, as always. Remember to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.
Got her. All right, Shayla, get him. Give him kisses. Do you like the swing, Gavin? Yeah. Look at Mommy. Say hi, Mommy. Hi, Mommy. I say bye.